picture, is this really helping the consumer? Now, Zillow announced their preview strategy, and they partnered with the main brokerages, KW, Remax, and Berkshire.
So they have to go to 5 places maybe
Correct.
to be able to see it. I think it makes a buyer using a realtor so much more important.
Yep.
Because they're going to be able to navigate some of the private listings and all the sites.
Correct. The value of the agent, goes up dramatically. You got a lot of kids at this point.
Welcome to the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Today, my guest is Chris Summers from KW Empower and the Summers team. Chris, welcome back on the show.
This might be my third time, Mr. Lopez.
Something like that, absolutely.
I mean, thank you for having me. Like some hot topics, but thank you for having me.
Okay, we're going to talk about the MLS, Zillow, Compass, what's going on. MLS, for anybody that doesn't know, is the multiple listing service, and there's a bunch of announcements going on. So first of all, what is going on with Zillow and MLS coming soon? Because that's what we're talking about. Just give us like a 30,000 foot view of what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, this conversation can go on forever, but big picture, like the announcement at the press, I guess it was last week, give or take, where Zillow, announced their preview strategy, and they partnered with the main brokerages are KW, Remax, and Berkshire,
right,
and maybe like a few other independents. So, like, long story short, is the agents in those brokerages have the ability, starting really in a week or two, because it does start early, second quarter, to have these preview type listings that really is just with Zillow, for up to 90 days, I believe, Patrick. Right. And basically, how did that all come about? I'm sure we'll talk about that more. It kind of gets back to Compass's, big coming soon, feature that they've been kind of pushing, that lawsuit with Zillow, and because of all that, that's where we are today. So I guess we might talk about potential winners, losers, or just thoughts about the big picture part. But that was the main announcement, and then there's more kind of announcements kind of hitting the press.
Okay, so let me set the table here. So Compass joined forces with Redfin and Rocket Mortgage,
right?
And Compass pretty much not started because there was always pocket listings out there, but they really went through this 3-phase marketing phase,
right,
where the first phase would be internal in their office, second
right,
phase then would be on their website,
right, exclusive,
right, and then now with Redfin, and then the third part would be the MLS / everybody, like Zillows of the world, Realtor.coms and everything.
Correct.
So this all started with that. Now, like you mentioned, Zillow paired up, signed a 3-year agreement with Remax, KW, Berkshire, and you mentioned, and several others, and they're adding more every day.
What a huge windfall for those 3 brokers, but
And then EXP joined forces with Realtor.com,
right,
Google, Homes.com.
Right.
So they are listing their information, their coming soons on that site, but they didn't sign any exclusive contracts with them. So that's one little difference. And EXP's idea is they want Zillow to pick up, everybody to pick up, so they want everybody to see from day one. They're coming soon.
Talk about those partnerships real quick. Like KW, Berkshire, and Remax, like the partner with Zillow. It's kind of like Google versus Ashton's, right?
Right.
I mean, Redfin's like 50 million per month, Zillow 250, or maybe if you're using a phone analogy, Apple versus Motorola. I mean, that partnership, or having that much potential traffic per month for those listings is massive.
Right.
Massive. Anyway, they move interrupt.
So now the question comes: what's going to happen with the MLS? Do they become less relevant? Because prior, every agent would turn around and put their listings in the MLS, and then everybody would go on the MLS and look for it.
It's so simple, Patrick.
So simple.
Right.
Not so much anymore.
Right. Thank you, Compass.
Right.
Sorry, yeah.
Are you thinking about buying, refinancing, or investing in real estate? I've been a loan officer for 30 years, helping my clients find the right loan for the right property. I keep it simple and honest. If you want real numbers and guidance you can trust, give me a call. Now let's get back to the show. So that's one thing that you had, what's going to happen with the MLS. The second thing is what's going to happen with the consumer.
Right.
How are they impacted?
Yes.
How are the agents impacted?
Yes.
Because that's another one.
Yes.
So why don't we first talk about the MLS?
Yes.
What do you see the impact to them? Because some people know, some people don't know. There's a little bit under 500 MLSs throughout the United States.
Yes.
And about 200 of them allow coming soons. So
Yes.
that means there's approximately 300 that you can't do a coming soon.
Right,
so that's what, in defense of Compass,
Right.
that's one of the things that they said, hey, this isn't right, because there are times
Correct.
that you need a coming soon.
There are times, right? Yeah.
Without question.
And I think that it just got blown way out of proportion.
Right.
But yeah.
So in our area, Bright MLS is, I believe, it's the first or the second largest MLS in the country, and they allow coming soons. Heck, you could have a coming soon for a year if you wanted to.
Yeah.
2 weeks, a year, whatever the case may be.
Primarily for new construction. But
Right.
Yeah, certainly.
Right. So it's not a big thing
Right.
around here, but what's the big picture you see for the MLS?
I mean, I think more will be revealed on that. The MLS, ultimately, the way I kind of look at it for now, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the rental market. Where rental listings go to MLS, you get exposure, but a lot don't, right? And then for the renter or the agent, it's kind of a little cumbersome. And with this, potentially you got some here, you got some over there. That once it goes live and it gets there, but I just think it potentially might dilute the MLS a little bit.
Right.
I mean, it's still going to be super relevant because people will want their listings there. Some will just have it go there on day one, just like it always has been. But when you do have this thing happening where you got some over here with Compass, now you got a lot more over here with Zillow, potentially some of these might not make it to the MLS, right? So more will be revealed. The value to the MLS, in my opinion, is still very much there, but to some degree, it kind of gets a little bit more fragmented, which, I mean, we can talk about the consumer, shortly, but I think that ultimately is what's going to happen. Now, does that really impact the MLS from a revenue standpoint or something? I don't think so. But what are your thoughts?
Okay, so do I think there's going to be really any change to the MLS, especially Bright?
Right.
In the short term, very little, if any.
I agree.
Do I think as time goes on, depending on what happens?
Yes.
And how this grows, how this blossom?
Yes.
It could be.
It could be.
And forget about what we're talking about, Zillow, and Realtor.com,
Right.
and Redfin and all these other sites.
Correct.
Forget about that.
Yeah.
We're just talking AI in general.
Yeah.
Because I think at some point, AI just may scrub the internet and pick everything, and you may just go on the chat to look at all your properties or whatever. Who knows? So yes, do I think there's headwinds ahead for the MLS? Yes. Do I think they need to really get their act together and really offer some value, really offer some AI features where it makes it really, really convenient for an agent to go on there and look and all that? Without question. But in the short term, I don't really think it's going to be much to do about anything.
Yeah, correct. I think these are some big announcements, but I think ultimately it's really agents and brokerages, in my opinion, that have the biggest impact. Consumers, kind of right behind as well. But the MLS overall, you're right, I don't think would have as much.
Right. Okay, so now the consumers. I always tell everybody, I'm not a realtor.
Yeah.
I'm a loan officer.
Yep.
If you need a mortgage, Pat Lopez.
One of the best loan officers in the city of Philadelphia. I think you got some great stats. I hear about, I forget what, but they know that already. But if they don't, they do now. but yeah, please.
So I'm not an agent, so this is not my world. I talk to agents every day. I talk to buyers every day. So, but what I see for a consumer, it's going to make things a little bit trickier for them because they just can't go to one place and see everything.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So they have to go to five places maybe to be able to see it.
Correct.
And I think, and you're going to elaborate on this, I think it makes a buyer using a realtor
Yep.
so much more important because they're going to be able to navigate some of the private listings and all the sites to be able to show everything's available. Tell me your thoughts.
Like if it was a simple world, Zillow owns search. Yeah, so why Compass did their thing, I don't really know. So like in the past, maybe a buyer would go there, or their agent would kind of send them everything. But now, like a consumer, it makes it more difficult. Are they going to look for properties here, there, and the other? And I think it also hurts them if they're not looking at it. These properties might be gobbled up by the time they hit the market, so the consumer kind of gets hurt there, which they've already been hurt. Like with the Compass thing. Now here they could be potentially hurt a little bit more. But you're right, that the value of the agent, goes up dramatically. Because that agent can kind of do their thing. And I think between me and you in our market, the value for a Compass, Remax, or KW agent just went up dramatically.
Right.
Maybe if you're just only doing a Compass coming soon, maybe the value's there. But like when you take the listing, the total, it's huge, right? So the consumer, the big picture, is this really helping the consumer? No.
Right.
So if anything, the biggest winners, in my opinion, are the agents and the brokerages. The consumer, Patrick, kind of reminds me of the rental market.
Right.
Kind of fragmented. Some things are over here. Some are over there. Some of us buy owner. And it's really tough if you're a tenant agent. But it's the same thing. You got to put all that together, right?
Right.
And then that was never the goal. You didn't want to get to this point.
Right.
And I think Zillow and the brokerages that did this announcement, they did it because it's kind of where the market is headed. It's kind of like, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, now, we in Zillow, hey, there is a need for this, but it kind of like, I think if anything, like Compass obviously opened the door for this to happen. I think in their big move to win, at least here, like if Compass has high market share at certain places, it might not affect them, but I just don't really see how this benefits them at all. And if anything, like if I'm a Compass agent, I can say this, like I'm not, on any board, it's like, yikes, Compass guys, I love you. A lot of friends are there. But I think they put this on themselves.
Right. So let's just take it a step back and let's look at, what did Compass do? They have a 3-phase marketing plan. First phase, internally in the office, they let people know. Then it would go on, on their website. Now it would go on to Redfin. And then third step would be, it would go, to everybody. It would go to the MLS and it would go to everybody. So that was that 3-phase marketing. Now, understand, here in the Philadelphia area, ultimately that doesn't quite make sense because you can do coming soon and that's allowed.
Correct.
Other markets you can't.
Correct.
So yes, and you wouldn't get hit with the time on the clock, 80 days on market, price cuts and all that kind of stuff. So that's what they talk about. And there is a need for some people. One, privacy, 100%. There's an issue with privacy. That's few and far between. The bigger things would be, hey, I have a 3-unit apartment. And it's really hard to get showings in there. So, hey, I want to do coming soon. I want to get as much people to come out on the one day that I'm doing an open house. So I want to market it a couple weeks ahead of time to really get momentum and all that kind of stuff. I mean, or I'm doing repairs, fixing, or it's new construction. There are reasons why you would have this coming soon. So I'm not saying that doesn't make sense. But ultimately, I think for them, it was a play to differentiate themselves.
100%.
100%. So it's like a sexy, something different that they were saying that other people weren't, and that they were grabbing more listings. And then I think it was also a play for to double pop potentially, like get both sides of it, because if it's not hitting, if it's not hitting the market, get mad and then recruit. Correct.
I think benefit the consumer.
No.
So, but for those small, amount of listing, great. But like, the whole thing about, and then just like that push just kept going. I mean, ultimately, it's almost like, is Compass a tech company? No. They're a real estate brokerage, right? So that was kind of like a facade. And then again, nothing against Compass, but like, I mean, I think reality matters, right? So you got that part, this whole coming soon thing to push it that far. Yes, they're especially here. It's like really at the end of the day, they're looking to do both sides of the deal. Okay.
Or get more leads.
Okay, or something. Yeah, so all that is like recruiting, retention, P&L, and that's, to me, I like transparency and kind of cut to the chase. And I mean, ultimately, because of that, then the Redfin, now we're here. Okay, so I don't know if that was your
Right.
question, but why are we here? It's because of that.
Right.
Right?
So now let's talk about the agent, okay? So an agent, I think it's making the agent job a little bit more difficult. Just like the buyer would have to go on multiple sites and
Right.
get phone calls saying, hey, do you have
Buyer's
anything,
agent, correct.
do you have anything private that didn't hit the, MLS or
Correct.
is it on any of the sites, that kind of thing. So it's making their job more difficult. And I think it's making it more difficult for the newer agents who aren't as sophisticated or as savvy.
Correct.
It's going to make them a tougher job.
Correct.
Tell me your thoughts as far as that.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the buyer's agent's job has got a little trickier. Like the consumer has access to info, which is a good thing. So as far as scheduling, hey, what's out there? But now, as you mentioned, instead of just going to one place, hey, what's available? In reality, it's like three places, maybe more as time progresses. But I think at the flip side of that, with the Zillow preferred platform, it benefits all the agents that are on the Zillow preferred teams. So if anyone is interested in any of these properties, for the most part, that will go to those agents on those teams. So I think what it does, for your regular solo agent, it does make it more challenging, or for any agent like working with someone, whether they're on that or not. But I think it does make, obviously, as a benefit, I have a large team. We've been a partner with Zillow forever.
Right.
So it makes the teams, Patrick, more valuable.
Right.
Because that new agent, you know what? I surrender. I need some more opportunities. This team is already on Zillow preferred. Now they're going to get more opportunities. So I think it benefits the teams. It benefits those agents on those teams because they might in turn get more prospects. And also Zillow is giving like an incentive to some extent, for Berkshire, Remax, and all of them to put those agents or those listings in there, because there is if things kind of work out in a certain way, there is, they don't call it referral, but they call it revenue sharing.
Right.
So if something happens, the listing agent and the brokerage will participate in revenue sharing. That is part of the process.
Right, I'm going to get into Zillow. Zillow is the last topic we're going to hit on. Like, why are they doing this and where they benefit? Okay, so, and I do understand. I do believe what you're saying is correct. I think what's going on here, it's making it harder for mom and pop, the solo agent. That isn't on a big team, who doesn't have the budget to pay for Zillow or be a Zillow Flex, all that kind of thing that you have. I think that's what I'm saying. For a smaller person, I think it's making their job more difficult. So it'd be more important if I'm just getting my license to go onto a team. Not only am I going to get mentoring, but now I'm going to get all the leads, all the information to help me, have a potential to be successful. I mean, it doesn't guarantee it, but it gives a higher probability of it. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm thinking I think there's going to be more consolidation. I think it's harder for the individual person. I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I mean, let's quote David Snyder. And maybe his quote might be, a little, too much, to the.
And David Snyder is?
David Snyder is the operating principal at Canadian Power, which has like 30% market share, Patrick. That's insane. So, and kudos to David because he's a board member of GPAR. But his quote is, ultimately, this will lead to the end of the independent. Right. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going out of business or whatever, but
just making it harder for them.
Well, either maybe they might sell, or they can kind of get consolidated up into these. They could continue to run their office. They kind of just get kind of gobbled up.
Right. They'd just be a team.
Correct. They'd be like a team within a larger brokerage. So it hurts the or it makes the buyer's agent a little bit harder or a lot harder. And, let's face it, like the teams have grown dramatically in the last 7 years anyway. So if anything, this is another growth.
It's evolution, the way it was
Correct.
going.
And then the independence, it just makes it more, like if you're independent, like, hey, you're not part of any of these things, and the seller say, hey, well, what are you doing coming soon? Is my thing going to go to Zillow? Or, it's like, how do they, I mean, it does make it more challenging.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so let's jump into Zillow. Why is Zillow doing this? One, they have to compete, and they are competing with Compass. That's number one, which is understandable.
Right.
But I also see them, and once again, I don't sell any real estate. I'm not on Zillow's platform.
Right.
I have nothing to do with it. I'm just looking from the outside in, right? I see them trying to make themselves more important or invaluable. Like you have to have Zillow there for these agents, because what you mentioned is, hey, the incentive is to put everything coming soon because you have the revenue share.
Right.
Why would I just put something directly on the market? Even if I put it on coming soon and for 2 or 3 days, 4 days, a week, whatever, and then I have a potential, if I'm the listing agent, to get a little taste, whatever that is. Even if it's $100, it's $100 more than I had. So and then also the fact is that you're uploading, and I don't know 100%, and obviously we need clarity on it, whether is KW, Remax, are they going to upload, or you as an agent automatically, you're just uploading directly to it. But you're sort of bypassing the MLS, okay? Although it's going to go to the MLS as well, especially in this area. It will go to both. But I can see how they're making this power move of saying, hey, no, go directly to us, And they're saying they're still for the MLS. Don't get me wrong. They're not saying to screw the MLS. But I just see their positioning of what they're doing is just to make their position stronger, period, which as a business I understand.
Yes.
But tell me about the referral fees and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in there. If you take a step back, let's give Gary Keller some credit. Like going back years ago, they had kind of a big picture goal to compete with Zillow, like through Command, the website, invested hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know that, right? It could have been close. I don't know. But I guess at some point, they surrender. Like, you know what? It's not, doesn't make, and to me that kind of makes sense because you're either a real estate broker or you're a search girl.
Right.
So he tried, and I think, I'm not positive, but the Compass part, kind of getting back to the tech company, I have a feeling, right? Because people might reach out to me or whatever, that in their world, their coming soon thing, probably they're looking to expand that. Where it was almost like a mini Zillow, and then maybe charge other brokerages to go on there. So probably a big picture goal there. But then Zillow, as things progress, lawsuits and whatnot. I think Zillow at the end of the day is okay, they surrendered to, hey, we see the value of a coming soon listing. Right. And then maybe Compass should have surrendered. Let Zillow be tech and do their thing, and that could be another story. But now Zillow says, okay. Yeah, there is a value here, and then, that strategy to some degree makes sense. Some listings might ultimately go into MLS's day one, which I think that will still happen. So I think the Zillow in a way is saying, okay, because of everything that's transpired, it's almost like the Compass kind of said, prove to them that there is a value of this coming soon. So basically they incorporated that and then partnered with the people that they partnered with. Because Compass, obviously, them, or whatnot. So I think Zillow's kind of forced into it in a way. This will probably benefit them dramatically due to more hits on their website, more potential revenue coming in through the Zillow preferred system, and probably more other independent brokers like partners with them.
But explain that if I turn around, that it would behoove me as an agent to put it in as a coming soon because of the revenue share. Explain how that works.
Yeah, so again, how this, in my mind, benefits the agent more than the consumer is really two things. One, the agent or in these brokerages will have the opportunity to potentially get more leads, similar to Compass's strategy to get more leads. So you got one, a benefit there. And then two, Zillow is saying, hey, if you put your preview listing in the system, Mr. and Mrs., or they listing agent. And if it sells, within a 90-day time frame when that inquiry comes in, that's, that agent and that brokerage will be part of that revenue. So that, they have an incentive, because if something does happen, even if they don't bring the buyer, someone else does as a result. There's a benefit from that, right? That maybe that could potentially go back to the listing seller client. I don't know. But there's big benefits for the agents across the board and the brokerages with this partnership. I think Zillow will benefit, so they'll just get more traffic to their site, part of the Zillow preferred part that they have potential for more revenue. And then in a way, the way that everything brought us to this point, it kind of like, especially once Zillow partnered with, I'm sorry, Compass partnered with Redfin, and they might have saw that coming anyway. It's like chess, right?
Right.
Are you a good chess player? I think you were.
I used to.
I won a tournament in elementary school. After that, I'm still pretty good. But I think, what brought us here, and then Zillow, I think from that Compass Redfin, maybe they're kind of already planning this ahead, is, okay, you see the opportunity for brokerages, agents, and then on their end, this is an open platform, right?
Right.
So I think that's their thing. It's like they want to still avoid the black boxes. We're only here. But still, once something is on the Zillow site, anyone can go there.
Right.
So I think in their mind, it's like, hey, do you see the value? Number one, and two, which has always been their goal. I don't sound like the Zillow spokesperson.
You do.
But I've partnered with Zillow for many years. Why? Because they're Zillow. If the consumers are going to be in Zillow, why would I want to partner with them? But that's their story. So I think the other part of them is it expands or increases transparency, because the consumers, can see it for all the listings that go to them, whether it's a preview, as part of this program, or that's something else.
Right. So
I'll answer your question.
There you go.
It was a good answer, I think.
So basically, if I sign a listing contract, I'm going to turn around, even if I'm not going to have the property go live for a couple of days, because they need to paint, they need to do something.
Correct.
They have to get the house clean. It's something super minor.
Correct.
I'm putting it in as coming soon, because I can get a little bit of that revenue share,
Right.
Right off the giddy up. And then also, it's almost like showcasing the property, because they are going to push those properties at it's a higher algorithm,
Right.
as far as the coming soon thing.
Yep.
And then there's two parts, basically, or I don't know exactly how they, and that's what they're saying.
Right.
That a contact the listing agent, contact Zillow preferred, agent,
Right.
there.
Right.
So, you have a choice of either or.
As a consumer.
As a consumer, correct, as a
Right.
consumer, it's right there. So if I'm listing
Right.
anything, I'm listing everything, even if it's only, coming soon for a couple days.
Yeah, there's really no reason not to,
Right.
unless it says, hey, you have everything ready now, for whatever reason, you go straight to the less. But you're right, the agent that has the listings, happy brokers have the set up, whether it's 21 days, 7, or 2.
Right. Right, exactly. Okay, so only time's going to tell what's going to happen.
Right.
Things are still unrolling. They're still explaining everything 100% of how this is all going to look.
Yep.
So I guess in a couple months or so, we're going to really see how it plays. And the last thing we're going to talk about is this only occurs with a seller's mark, because all of a sudden, if we go to 2028,
Right.
I'm sorry, 2008,
Right.
2009, 2010,
I love those years.
Right.
Yeah.
and you were begging
Right.
as a listing agent, please come to my home, because there was
Right.
2 million properties,
Right.
3 million properties for sale,
Right.
and it was almost impossible. Yeah, we were giving incentives out the wazoo.
Yep.
If I'm in Florida right now, on the west coast of Florida, where inventory levels are higher now than they were in 2019,
Right.
could care less about any of this. This is not even a thought, because I'm just begging. If I'm in Austin, Texas,
Right.
where I have 8 months, 9 months worth of
Right.
inventory,
Right.
I can care less about any of this. I'm just trying to blast it out to everybody. So the ebb and flow
Right.
of where the market is, we're up in the Northeast.
Right.
So hey, there is still some supply
Yep.
restrictions.
Yep.
Matter of fact, we are 45% lower in supply today than we were in 2019.
Correct.
Still, so,
Yeah.
in New Jersey, it's like 65%. I had a client in New Jersey, there were 16 offers on a property.
Yep.
It was listed for a weekend.
Right.
So that only works, this, showings, preview, private
Right.
stuff,
Right.
only happens when it's a seller's market and there's no inventory.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's face it. Like going back to those years, if I remember some of these companies, that there was like Zip Realty, that model doesn't work in a buyer's market. They no longer exist. I think Redfin, they still exist, but like obviously will change up their system. Yeah, but there's still a lot there, right? But it's like you got for the agents, you got nothing to lose. Like even in a buyer's market, you can still put it in there. I mean, you're right, but like,
Well, it's not going to be private.
Right.
You're not going to do private because then nobody will know about it, and there's not 10 buyers for that one house.
But yeah, but the Zillow.
But the Zillow, they can still do for a couple of days.
Right.
Yes.
Private little black box
Right.
thing, obviously loses a lot more, I guess, oomph in those
gusto,
cases.
yep.
Yeah, people still might do it, but why not? And so forth. But yeah, I mean, I think, what's very interesting, like, more will be revealed. I mean, at least here in the Philly market, I'll be curious, and then really coast to coast. It's like, does Compass retention stay where it is?
Right.
And to keep in mind, it's not really just Compass. It's like, the anywhere, like all those other brokerages
Right.
do. So what's going to happen there? Maybe, hey, I mean, Compass has had some good moves too. So like, hey, maybe they got something else up their sleeves. What it is, I have no idea. But if they come out with something, great. But they're a publicly traded company, Pat.
Right.
Yeah, those earnings are looking at quarter to quarter, and not for nothing. They're in a lot of debt. And I think that this whole coming soon part was part of their retention, recruiting, and in addition to giving money to agents to come over from the investment from SoftBank and going public. These other companies, well, I guess Berkshire is wrapped into Warren Buffett, right?
Right.
KW is private. Remax is public. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting from a brokerage. It'll be interested from an agent standpoint. And then, these little mom and pops, they get consolidated. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's supposed to be all about the consumer. If you're a seller, like in Philadelphia, I mean, I don't think it's going to change too much.
Right.
If anything, it'll be for the better, potentially, or will it? Because like, even if you get these leads from coming soon, maybe they have an offer, but if they would have listed it, would that next offer be better? Or with multiple? Probably. And then, the consumer be a little bit fragmented. But questions out there, Mr. Lopez. I'm sure you'll do a podcast with someone, whether it's me or whatnot, would be, 1 year later.
Right, exactly.
Right? 1 year later, what's going on? But I guess in my world, again, not to be biased, like I was really happy to see that news. And if anything, I have friends in every different brokerage, but like as a team, that we thrive on listings, for us to have, even, I think our model is already fantastic. Now it just multiplied.
Right.
Right. And I'm a Compass agent, like, oh, yikes. But like, I'm here in Phil. I'm not president of G-Par anymore. I'm not the board of anything. So I feel comfortable saying, really, well, I'll answer any question.
Right.
But I mean, more will be revealed.
Okay, so we're going to wrap everything up. Thanks once again for being on the show. The Summers team, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, find out more about your team, find out what listings you have, how would they do that?
I mean, people say, Chris, you are the same online as offline, or offline and online. The Summers team, you can find us on IG, Facebook, myself. So thank you on that. But I think also to give you a shout out, the real estate show with Pat Lopez.
That's right.
I mean,
YouTube.
How many subscribers are we up to today versus a year ago?
Well, we're around 46,000. I don't know where we were a year ago.
I mean,
it was less.
Yeah, a lot less, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's me to have great content and bringing me on. If you guys, I'm going to put a plug. If you aren't subscribed to Pat's podcast, please do. I love getting because I'm a subscriber. I get the notifications, right? So if you're, doesn't matter if you're Philly, right? Everyone should subscribe to us.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's the shout out to you because you've done a phenomenal job, and I know how hard it is to keep going with that, with the consistency.
Thank you. Okay, that's the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Like Chris said, make sure you follow the show on Instagram, Facebook, and of course, watch the show at the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez YouTube. This will be
Go
on
Phillies.
YouTube.
Opening day. This might come out later. I'll be there for opening day. Pat, you and I will do a game.
There you go.
Go Phillies.
Absolutely.
Go Philly. Boom.
So be sure to watch the show. Hope you enjoyed the show. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Boom.